Hello and welcome back to Of Land and Leaf. Today is Worm Wednesday, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am not in the best of spaces today, but that's life. Over the weekend, I was feeling a little off and off enough to go to urgent care. I thought I had a double ear infection. My ears were just like killing me, all this pressure. It turns out I didn't have an ear infection. But I had some sinus stuff. I knew I was dealing with some sinuses and they were like building up. They're not draining properly. So the doctor gave me some medication. And you guys know I'm not in love with medication. My my one vice is a pain pill. I do not mind a pain pill. And I think it's because I spent so much time talking about how strong I was and how I have a high tolerance for pain and all of this. And then one day I realized I didn't have to have a high tolerance for pain. I didn't have to hurt. Like, some pain is necessary, but like I can take a pain pill. So that is the one thing. If I'm in pain, I'll go ahead and let them give me a pain pill. But I went ahead and took this sinus medicine and it just has me feeling a little jittery. So I am feeding the worms today, but on my way downstairs to feed the worms, really, I have these strawberries that I need to get rid of, and that's the only reason why I didn't change my my schedule for today. But on my way down here, I realized something that I wanted to share with you. Like, I'm a little over 30 days into raising these worms, and I was just thinking about how little nature needs us. These worms don't need me at all. They would be completely fine outside on their own, in their habitat, in nature. They would find a plant and they would, sit around the roots and they would get water and vegetation and they would be fine, right? They don't need to be fluffed. They don't need anything added. Like, they would be fine. But I have brought them into my environment and now I have to take care of them. But I was just thinking about the whole human instinct to help. Like, I'm checking every week to make sure they're okay, to see if there's too much water, to see if there's not enough water, to make sure that they have food. And to some degree, I had to do that because I brought them into my home, right? So now I have to take care of them. It would not be, it would not be a good thing for me to bring them in and just abandon them. But it's this whole idea that they need me and me calling them my babies and like me taking care of them. It's such a human instinct. We are far less necessary than we believe, but we've been told that we're the highest on the totem pole, right? That we're the highest level of the hierarchy, that we rule and we have dominion over all things, and we are the most needy, invasive creatures that exist. Everything else would exist without us just fine. We need everything else. Have you ever stopped to think about that? Like, I think about how homes and buildings and apartment structures and things are being put up all the time, and it's ruining the areas where animals live, and they're being forced out into neighborhoods. And then we're scared and we're killing animals because, oh my God, there's a bear outside, there's a deer outside, right? And outside where they're supposed to be, like, we invade. I was just thinking about that. We are invasive. We invade. We take over. We change. And then to make ourselves feel better, we say that we are caring for. But we're not always caring for. And I mean, there are some rare circumstances where human intervention can be helpful in the short term. But I guess as I am on these meds, I'm thinking about how less necessary we are. And I think if we allowed ourselves to think about our own purpose instead of injecting ourselves into everything else, we might make this place a better place to live. It might be a safer planet. It might be a kinder place, right? But we're so busy like drawing our lines of what's ours and our territory and our space, and then hanging our hat on our achievements. And I think sometimes we miss the bigger picture. So I know you didn't come for a rant about society and humanity, but I'm just thinking about it as I feed my worms today. Not a whole lot going on in the worm bins. I do see more mite activity in the smaller bin, even after everything that I did last week. You'll remember I changed it out and made it drier. They're there. And again, the mites are not harmful to the worms. I just don't want them in my house, right? So now I have to think about the fact that I brought something in here that is actually very common in nature for them to coexist in the same space. And now I'm saying I don't want one, but I want the other. I do have an option of getting some mosquito dunks, putting that in water and spraying in here. I've been told that that won't hurt the worms, but it will eventually kill the mites. And if I get a large population of these mites, I will have to resort to doing that. And that goes, I mean, it's not the natural environment that I would like to utilize, but I had to see this through, and that's how this whole thing starts, right? I just want to do a little something to improve the environment. So here we are, week 5 or 6, mites in the smaller bin, a few in the 5-gallon buckets, but nothing that I'm concerned about. So I'm feeding today and adding some more brown to both the bin and the bucket. And then I'm going to leave it alone. And actually what I'm going to do is skip next week. So if you get a Worm Wednesday next week, it'll just be me chatting, which you see, I can chat. I can bring up a topic and we can talk about worms. Or I might skip a week because I want to test a 2-week feed cycle. So I'm going to give them a little bit more than I normally do. And I'm going to not feed next Wednesday and just test for myself how long I can be away. So I know that if I don't feed, there are other things in here that they can eat. There's, paper. There are, other nutrients and greens in here that they can eat. But I just wanted to see how long it takes the food to disappear if I put a little more food. And I have to also remember, if I put a little more of these wet strawberries, that's going to make the environment wet as well. So everything, for every cause, there's a reaction, right? For every action, there's a reaction, whatever that expression is. So I'm testing and I'll let you know how it goes. So if you don't see me next week, tune in for the following week. There will be a Worm Wednesday. There will be an update. Let me at least show you how much I'm putting in both of the bins. Okay, so here is the small bin. I've already kind of peeked in here, so you can tell because this is usually on top. And I moved things back just to see what was happening in here. I am so happy because I am seeing some cocoons, so I know that there is some reproduction happening in here, which I'm really happy about. What I've been told is that the cocoons are really hardy and they will wait until optimal conditions before there are worms, before the worms emerge. So that's another test for me to see how they feel in here based on the rate that I get some little small baby worms. I'm hoping that in 2 weeks when I open this up, there will be a baby worm or 2 or 3 or 4. Here are my yucky strawberries that I saved for them. And I'm just going to go in here. They really liked the strawberries last time. So I'm going to go in here and open them up. And they're like, they're wet. So that is adding moisture to this bin that already has the mites in it. So that's 3 and 4. 4 strawberries in the bin. And then before I put this back, I'm going to add a little bit more brown. Actually, I'm going to put this back first. Okay, let's grab some brown out of my shredder. Get the glove back on. Okay. And then I'm just pressing this down a little bit. Like, I don't want to make it super, super compact, but I don't want the soil level to go past the holes that I have drilled in here. So, I'm just, compacting it just a little bit so that they don't mistakenly climb out of the holes just while they're exploring. So now I'm here with the 5-gallon bucket, taking a peek in for the first time. I haven't looked in here since last week. So I have a little bit of, I'm going to move this so you can see it. Don't know if you can see it, but I have a little bit of white fuzzy, what is it? Mold. Can you see that? I don't know if that's okay. I don't know if it's okay for that to be there. I gave them some strawberries that were a little molded. But that makes me feel like, I don't know. I don't know what that means to the decomposition process. And I was getting ready to give them a bunch more strawberries. So I'm going to change my course of action just a bit. And instead of giving them more molded strawberries, I have some collards. I have some collards in the refrigerator that I need to throw away that are kind of like sweaty. And I'm just going to give them greens. I did recognize that the green took longer. So who knows? Maybe this is greens and not strawberries. Interesting. Let me see if I can examine a little bit more. On further investigation, they're getting strawberries because not only did I see that the white mold stuff was attached to some green kale that I had frozen and put in here that hadn't finished breaking down. I saw babies. I saw little white baby worms. I'm so excited. I expected that to happen in the other bin first. It's in this bin. I think because they have more room, I think they are happier in this bin. And if that is the case, then what I may end up doing is combining these bins. There's no reason for me to have a breeder bin if they're not breeding faster in the breeder bin. So I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to finish my 2-week experiment, but I'm about to give them all of the strawberries. They're getting all the strawberries that they want so they can take care of those babies. And then I'm going to cover this up again with some brown and leave it alone for 2 weeks. On another note, I did not realize how much paper I have. Like I already recycle, so I knew, right, that we had some paper, but now that I'm doing this weekly, I'm like using so much paper in these bins that I would otherwise send off to be processed in other ways. And now I get to use this paper in a way that is going to be beneficial to me in my garden. So I really love that. All right, covering this back up. No water today because when I pulled this out of the, this one I do have a catch bucket underneath it. And when I pulled it out of the catch bucket, there was moisture down there still. So I had this wetter than I thought because I did add it dry last week to try to reduce the moisture, and there's still moisture. So no new moisture this week. We're going to give them 2 weeks and then we'll be back. I know this video was all over the place. Thanks for letting me rant. And if you agree or disagree, let me know in comments. But until next time, thank you for watching Of Land and Leaf.